Welcome
to Coffee with Janis and Karen.
Janis, we are on chapter 2 of Deuteronomy.
Yes.
And the more I study, the less I feel qualified to even talk about it.
Oh.
Moses is still recounting a history.
Yeah.
Here.
I know. You think of him as such a godly man and he can't do any wrong. And
you keep reading.
And then you're like, oh.
And you know that verse, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see that in Moses' life. So I guess let's get started.
Okay.
And I'm going to just read a little bit to kind of get us all together.
Get in it. Okay.
So it says, then we turned back and set out toward the wilderness along the route to the Red Sea, as the Lord had directed me. For a long time we made our way around the hill country of Seir. Then the Lord said to me, you've made your way around this hill country long enough. Now turn north. Give the people these orders. You're about to pass through the territory of your relatives, the descendants of Esau who live in Seir. They will be afraid of you, but be very careful. Do not provoke them to war, for I will not give you any of their land. Not even enough to put your foot on. Not even that much. I've given Esau the hill country of Seir as his own. You are to pay them in silver for the food you eat and the water that you drink.
Yeah, I noticed when I was reading it, how specific God was. Yeah. I mean, he gave them very specific instruction.
And, you know, Esau and Jacob was obviously got the birthright.
Right.
And Esau was mad at him, mad enough to kill him.
Yep.
And so Jacob got sent away. Y'all remember that story. But, you know, there was a reconciliation later, Jacob and Esau. Esau forgave him. I mean, that says a lot about Esau.
Yeah.
And God said, you know, when God gives a promise, he holds to that promise.
Right. Yeah.
And he wasn't going to let them have Esau's land. Even though they were the chosen people, he still had other people he was watching out for.
Right.
So isn't that something?
Yeah.
And we're going to find this again as we keep going through here. There's some other places God said, no, I gave this property to so-and-so. Janice, let's figure out where that is.
Yeah.
Where's that? Oh, here, let's get to verse 9.
Verse 9.
Yeah,
okay.
Verse 9. Can you read that one?
Yeah, just 9.
Well, just stop where you think you ought to.
Okay. And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle. For I will not give thee of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. The Emans dwell therein in times past, a people great and many and tall, as the Anakites.
Anakites? Mine says Anakites.
Oh, well, yeah, it's just something a
yours
little
says
different.
Something different.
Well, anyway. So God had given them.
And Israel couldn't have it.
You're right. Yeah.
But see, because this is things that he had done with their forefathers.
Yes.
So you know what it made me think about this morning? What am I negotiating with the Lord for my children? I think about that.
Yeah. Good thoughts. Yeah.
Because I look back at my dad and his dad and the things that they maybe not consciously worked for.
Right.
Or passed along. Some of it I'm sure they did consciously. But, you know, their family, it was with Granddad, it was his family that was so important to him. All his children. He liked. And I think they would call each other every night.
Yeah, they were very close.
They were close. But there are things that, you know, have been passed down, and there are blessings that I have requested from the Lord for my kids. So
that's good.
Yeah. So
I know. I guess I need to be a little more specific about that, like futuristically. But I always pray like favor and blessings over my children, and with their jobs and just their future spouses or those types of things. And yeah.
And again, you said you have not because you don't ask,
Right?
And it certainly does not hurt to ask,
Right.
I wanted to say too that there is a very concise and a few more details about this in Numbers 33. So I flipped back to that because there's some stuff in Numbers that it brings out that happens in this section that is not included in this, that Moses is not just saying here. And a few of those things are, let's see.
You want me to turn, or you just want to?
Let me see. Numbers 20:28.
Oh, that's before Deuteronomy.
Yeah, that is.
Numbers 28.
Numbers 20:28.
20:28.
Yeah, that's what I have written down. It's been a while since I made these notes.
Okay.
So,
let's see.
This is after they pass through Edom.
Okay.
After God tells them you don't get to have Esau's stuff.
Yeah.
See what happens next.
Okay, it says, and Moses stripped Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar, his son. And Aaron died there in the top of the mount. And Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount.
See, that's not in there.
Yeah.
But that happened later. So that's how come it can be so confusing, because some things leave out things because that's not what he was talking about right then. But a lot of the people, there was some common knowledge too. I feel like that when he was talking to Israel, there's a lot of things that they knew and understood because of their connections and because their families had been there and done that. And so Moses didn't include all that in here,
right,
in his recollections, because they just already know that. Yeah, so I would definitely suggest going back into Numbers. To looking at, and there's another
get a little more history on it.
Yeah.
So another one in Numbers.
There was Numbers 21.
Okay.
1 through 3.
All right. And when King Arad, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah.
Oh, there you go. And then after that, the brazen serpent happened.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's not included in this either.
Okay.
Do you see the brazen serpent coming up there?
Let me look.
Like 4 through 9?
Okay. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against God and against Moses.
Of course.
Yes, here they go again. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water. And our soul loatheth this light bread. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people.
Keep going, I'm sorry.
And they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. But the Lord wasn't putting up with it, was he? Therefore Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, and put it upon a pole, and it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived.
Now, God could have just made the snakes go away.
Yes.
But they still got to get bit.
Yes. Right.
But the point was, apparently, can you just obey me in this?
Yes.
Can you just look at the pole because I told you to look at the pole?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a test of their obedience, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord, help me not need the serpents.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're going to get into this. You probably will. But, as you go on down in that chapter of Deuteronomy, God told him to just kill everybody.
He did.
I mean, men, women, children, all of them.
That's hard.
It seems very harsh, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's where I was going to bring that up later, but no, let's go ahead and talk about it. She done opened the box. Okay, yeah, I had a professor, and he was from a foreign country, and that was something that, he was apparently a very devout Christian man, but that was something he couldn't handle. And he admitted that in our college classes that was just beyond his ability.
Yeah.
But if we look back, my husband says, well, there weren't any little canoes behind the ark.
True.
And it is hard because that's not the God that we identify with. But at the same time, if there's going to be a right and there's going to be a wrong, then even our own nature as parents, we know that sometimes there has to be, like with God, you have to, if you're gonna disobey, there's gonna be
consequences.
A consequence.
Yes, that's true.
And there's a remedy. So look at the pole.
Yeah.
Look at the circle.
Yeah. Well, something I try to think about, because this isn't the first time that's happened in Scripture. God did that. He would destroy a whole, nation or group of people, and those children would raise up in that and probably be the same as what their parents were. But I know I can kind of see what your professor's saying, though. It's children, God.
Yeah.
But
there
there is consequences for our sins. So
and that's how come I'm glad I don't call the shots.
Yes.
Because there are times that you and I both, we could look at certain people and go, if I were God, I would have killed them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And don't say you've never you've never thought that. It is true.
Right.
Yeah.
They deserve
If you see a murderer on TV or read about someone that's done some horrible.
Yeah, and then they plead insanity and get, and you're like, no, or who cares, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the end, God,
He knows what's best.
He does.
He does. He knows what's best.
And again, we find that even after the flood, those people who were destroyed after the flood, Jesus went and preached to them. He went and preached to the spirits in prison who were sometimes disobedient after the flood. God doesn't change.
No.
And so that has been such an encouragement to me to find that scripture. I think that's in Peter said that, how that Jesus had done that. And, we just obey.
Right.
That's our job.
Yeah.
And let God sort it all out. And we're going to have to call this session closed because we're about out of time.
Okay.
So this has been Coffee with Janis and Karen, starting in chapter 2, Deuteronomy.
Yeah, this may take a while.